Christine Rivard, aquifer vulnerability to shale gas development.
Thank you, Eric. So yes, I will talk about the assessment of groundwater gas activities in the Sussex area in southern New Brunswick. Can I use the, okay, thanks. I'll skip the abstract. Many people were involved in this project, mainly from 3 GSC divisions, 2 provincial departments, 3 universities, and the industry, corridor resources. The study area is located near Sussex, so about halfway between Moncton and St. John. The study area comprised, in fact, 2 subregions, the Macaulay gas field, that has been in production for the last 18 years for methane, so for natural gas, so essentially for methane, and the Elgin area, which is a prospect field for condensates. The objective of this project was to investigate potential natural migration pathways, which could be or have been enhanced by hydraulic fracturing to assess aquifer vulnerability. The rationale behind this project is that potential links between deep geological units targeted by the industry and superficial aquifers are not well documented, mainly because the zone in between, often called the intermediate zone, and protecting shallow aquifers against potential contamination from deep industrial activities has typically not been documented or characterized. Since only few data are available on this intermediate zone, our approach for this project involved, of course, the use of geological data, but also the use of multi-source indirect data from different disciplines, including geophysics, geomechanics, hydrogeology, and geochemistry. I'll just say that we drilled 2 additional wells last summer for a total of 14 observation wells. We continued groundwater monitoring, and we had, unfortunately, to decommission all our observation wells. The study area is located in the Maritimes Carboniferous Basin, and more specifically in the Moncton Subbasin. The 2 units that are of interest to the industry are the Huron-Brook Tight Sandstone and the Frederick Brook Shale that are 2 members of the Albert Formation of the Horton Group. The overlying units, which form the intermediate zone, are composed, among other things, of the Windsor Group, which contains evaporite deposits that were exploited by Potash Corp until December 2015 in a salt structure. A paper on the geological reinterpretation of this region was recently published. This figure to the right was used as a graphical abstract. It illustrates schematically the evolution of the Moncton Subbasin, with areas of sedimentary deposition shown in light yellow and positive reliefs in light brown. The 2 first stages of basin evolution took place in a strike-slip setting, but resulted in a net extension along fault nearly perpendicular to the basin axis during the first stage, and in a net shortening during the second stage. During the last stage, the influence of the main faults appeared to be more subtle, and deformation was mainly associated with salt motion. Salts from the Windsor Group are shown using black here. Therefore, this new model enhances the close relationship between tectonics and sedimentation in this type of basin. Borehole geophysical logging was carried out in all the observation wells over the last 3 years. Site-wide differences in fluid properties highlighted varying groundwater dynamics, such as in recharge and discharge zones, helping defining the groundwater flow conceptual model. This figure shows groundwater electrical conductivity logs. Blue logs represent downward flow and correspond to relatively young water, while on the right, red logs represent upward flow and correspond to much more conductive groundwater and thus briny groundwater. And I'll explain why using the conceptual model in a few slides. Rocky Val analyses that are commonly used to identify the type and maturity of organic matter show that the Macaulay gas field contains dry gas, while the Stony Creek field that is located less than 100 kilometers to the east contain oil. confirming that the area of the Macaulay gas field that was buried at greater depth than the northeastern or eastern margins of this basin. In our shallow observation wells, one of the core samples that was drilled in the Elgin area and also in the Horton group showed values in the condensate zone. So in agreement with Rocky-Val analysis, this thermal maturation map based on organic matter reflectance shows or confirms the degrees of maturation for the Albert Formation towards the east. This map shows the different water types that we have in the monitoring wells. Most of them are of the calcium bicarbonate type, shown in pink here, so they correspond to relatively young water. However, in red, we have two special water types, calcium sulfate and calcium chloride, that are unusual for shallow groundwater. These two special water types correspond to old, evolved groundwater that can only be explained by the presence of regional flow and the salt structure that was exploited by Potash Corp. This line shows the location of the cross-section that I will present on the next slide. So this 2D groundwater flow conceptual model shows that although most of the flow is local and shallow, and this was shown by a numerical model, the presence of deeper regional flow is indicated by the presence of these two special water types that were found in two of the shallow observation wells that are located at the bottom of the Kennebecasis River Valley. These unusual water types indicate a contribution from evaporites from the salt structure whose chemical components are assumed to have been transferred into the active groundwater flow zone by diffusion. Based on regular monitoring, we found that, in fact, only 2 wells would contain thermogenic gas based on calculations using isotopic fractionation. Although conventional graphs that are commonly used to identify the gas or methane origin in groundwater, such as this one on the left, could have indicated a wider occurrence. Also, a comparison for the isotopic signature between groundwater results and gas extracted from core samples indicated that both microbial and thermogenic gas seems to come from the shallow bedrock itself. So although evidence of some upward migration pathways over a few hundred meters was found, large-scale migration from a deep gas reservoir to the surface seems to be very unlikely. Thank you.
Spot on.
Right on.
Right on. Merci beaucoup, Christine.